I like the foam.
Hello and welcome to the Whiskey Dan radio show. Glad to have y'all back. It's glad to be back. I had to take a month off because I had to keep watching my sports teams losing. That's whatever. But the Stars have turned it around, but the Giants seem to just build up my hype every Sunday and then just crush it by the second quarter. So I have done a lot of crying on the weekend, but that's okay. I'll get over it eventually, maybe. Also, we were going to record sometime last week, but my guest got bronchitis, and I threw my back out and couldn't really walk. So we are doing it this week, but we're going to talk a little bit more on Halloween, maybe a little bit. But anyway, thank you for your patience in this episode coming out. And we got Ashley back on the show.
Ooh.
You're going to need to get close to the mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to my ASMR.
So tonight, tonight we are drinking ETX Brewery's Hitching Post. It is an amber ale that's brewed in can by ETX Brewery right here in Tyler, Texas, downtown.
It's pretty good. Better than I had anticipated it, because typically any time that, like, I've been to a brewery, like, or say, like, True Vine, it's not really great after it's canned.
Yeah, well, you just had that one beer, wasn't it? And you're like, I didn't like it after it was canned. Beer's always going to be better off the tap, but this one's actually still pretty good right out the can.
Yeah.
Because they got their license can. They picked it up over at my local grocery store. I've been to the brewery. I've had it at the brew and at the brewery, and then I've also had it at a couple of the bars around here because they do distribute it around here as well. I like it. It's an amber ale. It's not super bitter. It's a little hoppy, but it's not like, because you know, like a lot of times when you go to like breweries and they just put way too much hops in it, you're like, this tastes like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's kind of got a little kick to it at the beginning, and then it kind of sails off. It's not bad at all. It doesn't leave it's
a little hazy kind of color too. It's not real clear, but I like it.
You said it's red. It looks more amber to me.
It's an amber ale.
Okay.
I think it's what it's called. I thought it was a red beer, but it's an amber ale. I mean, it's good. I like it. You know, you could easily have a 6-pack of it. Because, you know, like sometimes when you get like a 6-pack of craft beer, and then you're like, oh, this is like way too sweet, or it's way too heavy, and you can have like 2, and you're like, oh, God, I'm full.
So do they can this like on the site where we go? Like,
yeah.
At the East Texas Brewing Company.
Yeah,
right
I think
there
they have a little
downtown.
cannery in the back now.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much like they put out.
They had a bunch. They had like 3 different beers at the grocery store.
Really?
And it was like $9.39 for a 6-pack, which is the cost of like 2 beers if you got it at a bar.
This is a super one?
Yeah, it's a super one. So yeah, because typically for craft beer at a bar it's like $5 for a 16-ounce, and you get 6 12-ounce cans for $10.
Okay.
So it's a pretty good deal overall. But sorry we couldn't do it for Halloween. I know Halloween's your favorite holiday.
That's fine. I probably wouldn't have wanted to do it on Halloween, to be
Well,
honest.
not on it, but like a little bit before it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, it is what it is. I had the bronchitis on Halloween.
It was whack.
It was more than whack.
Did what makes Halloween your favorite holiday?
Well, I guess I just always grew up, you know, with parents that, I guess my dad, he really liked Halloween. I can barely hear myself. Can we turn me up somehow?
Yeah, sure.
Testing. It's a little bit better, I guess. I feel like my mouth has to be right on the mic.
Yeah, it does.
Your mouth isn't right on the mic.
Because I talk better.
Well, Halloween has always been my favorite, probably because of my parents. I really appreciate how my dad just kind of took it and ran. Back when Spirit Halloween actually first opened, it was like a little rinky-dink, pop-up store, which it still is a pop-up store because it's seasonal, but it just kind of came up to one of the places in Longview. I don't know what it's called now. It used to be, or it might still be like a sports place. It's over by the mall. in Longview, and they showed up, and we were just like infatuated with like, oh, this is really cool animatronic shit, yeah. And my dad made like he took a burn barrel and he painted it like this haphazard like just toxic waste barrel, and then he put like an alien coming out of it and put blood everywhere and smoke machines and strobe lights. And we always went to Spirit every year, and we got something new and gruesome and big, like a big old demon or anything to freak out the kids. And so we were the spot for Halloween to go trick-or-treating.
But isn't that like a bit much?
No, it's great.
Okay, like Halloween is, for the most part, more of a children's holiday. When people have like all that shit in their yards, like, no, we're gonna not go to that one.
No, like they loved it, and we would keep it. We would put it up as soon as we could. That was my favorite thing. Even like junior high school, like I could not wait. Well, not high school, obviously, but in junior high, like I couldn't wait to come back from school and just start decorating. Like we had more Halloween decorations than we did Christmas. Like Halloween is Christmas to me. I'm like a little kid. I just love it. And obviously, because I started decorating in September,
which is abhorrent. It's at the this holiday is at the very end of the month. You're going to burn out all the spoopiness.
I didn't burn out. I had a lot of fun with it.
You took down the decorations on Halloween.
I was sick.
I mean, it's fair, but you could have left them up.
Well, I was also in a cleaning mood, so I just figured knowing myself and my habits is probably easier for me just to take all the shit down when I had the motivation to take it down rather than leave it up like you leave your Christmas lights up,
that's
for
fair.
2 to 3 months afterwards. Like if I hadn't taken them down then, I probably would have kept them up till Christmas.
I mean, Ashley threw a pretty great Halloween party. About 12 of us were there. It was nice. It was real chill. Wasn't anything crazy. It was kind of interesting because we had a bunch of people that are like our friends, but they didn't all know each other. So it turned into like a giant mixer for everyone. And it was actually, I had a lot of fun out of it. And all of our friends kind of got to know each other, like the ones that don't touch that. The ones that don't really know each other, they got to meet everyone, so it was kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, it's fun.
But anyway, man, I like Halloween more the older I got. Like, I liked it a lot as a kid, and like in middle school and high school, I really didn't give a shit. And it wasn't until I got to college that I was like, hey, I had a lot of fun doing that. And I never wanted to go trick-or-treating like as an adult because like I could just go buy the candy with money. But I like
that just makes you creepy.
Well, there's some people that do, like that were like in college that like went trick-or-treating to like the rich neighborhoods and stuff. Like, dude, aren't you like 20?
I quit. Like I think my last year trick-or-treating was maybe 5th or 6th grade, and I was done because it was probably 5th grade because I actually remember going to my 5th grade teacher's house who actually lived down the street from me. But I mean, you knew you were too old. You were the oldest kids going. It was just a little, and so that's when you burn out because you're like, oh, it's silly. Been to it in high school, like for homecoming week, if it happens to fall around that time, you get to dress up again. It's just fun. It's fun to create characters and do things like that.
Because like I dressed up as a plague doctor and I got to wear the costume 3 different times. 3 different times because it was one to the party that we had at your apartment.
Right.
And then took me to 2 work parties on the same night. I got to wear it there. And then the last time there was a costume contest at Yamato's, an open mic night, and I wore it then. I got a lot of compliments on it.
Yeah.
A lot of people were in costume. But I was the only one that was wearing a mask, and it was actually pretty cool because you could just hang in the back and like people didn't really notice you. Yeah, it was kind of nice, and they just kind of like, what the fuck is that guy? Yeah, it was because like it's kind of a creepy mask. Anyway,
it really is.
I liked it. And like what I was saying, like the older that I get, the more I enjoy Halloween because like you get to dress up, and like now that I have like the money to spend on a costume to make it kind of nice, it's actually a lot more enjoyable.
You get to use your creative stuff. I mean, like my costume, if y'all have ever seen the movie Hook, Julia Roberts plays the Tinkerbell, and she's not your typical cute Tinkerbell. She's more tomboyish, more with the Lost Boys type of girl. And so I already have a pixie cut. So I just grew it out a little bit longer, dyed it red, and just made my costume from scratch. Just grabbed something from Play-Doh's, cut it up, added some leaves, made some iridescent wings, and just went with it. And it was fun.
Yeah.
And my work nickname is Tinkerbell, or Tink, so it just kind of fit. It was easy.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. I thought it was a great costume, and then like all of our friends who went to the party had all had some form of a costume. We had one friend who came as Bambi's mom, so she dressed up like a deer and put a bullet wound on her neck. That was pretty funny.
Pretty creative.
We had another friend who got stung by a jellyfish this summer and then dressed up like a jellyfish, which I thought that was a pretty great play on it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And then we had Little Dead Riding Hood, and we had a guy come as a bush. We had a guy come as a Borderlands character, and then we had a married couple, and they came as like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, and then I had a friend that did, the sugar skull.
Yeah, her makeup was really nice.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Jazz is always really, really good with makeup. Yeah.
I think it looked pretty good. But anyway, I'm just happy to be doing this again, finally. It is a logistical nightmare to get a guest on this show because it's always like, oh, I'm busy, man. Between that and wanting to watch sports because the Stars are doing really good now. They've completely turned their season around. They've won 9 out of the last 8, so I'm really happy about that. Giants suck, but they still block away 3 hours of my Sunday every weekend until I die. And I hate it. And yeah, baseball season wrapped up. So yeah, congratulations to the Nationals winning the World Series. I watched the games 6 and 7, which is pretty cool. So they got their first win. So I mean that was pretty cool. I remember watching the last pitch at Yamato's because it was on October 30th because that's when the costume party was.
Yeah,
I was up there and I watched it then. But I want to get you into sports as much as I'm into sports.
That's fair.
Because I want you to waste all of your time being into sports like I am, so it'll validate me wasting my time.
That makes sense. And, I want to get into sports. I think it's going to be a lot easier for me to get into hockey than anything else. I mean, like football too, but it's just, I have just different hobbies that I'd rather do than watch sports. Like, I'm not dogging you for watching sports. That's fine. It's just not my first go-to.
Oh, she's not doing it in front of the audience, but when we're alone, oh, Jesus, you're going to watch the game again?
Well, it's like a game on every night.
Well, hockey.
Sorry, I want to spend time with you.
Oh, here we go. Here we fucking go.
We're not having a lover's quarrel right now. But no, like if I had a little bit more motivation, which hopefully after we go to the Stars game in December, that'll give me some motivation to sit down and watch the game. I'm more of a basketball person myself.
And I hate the NBA.
And one of our couple friends are going to a Mavs game, and I'm really kind of jealous because and it's in nosebleeds. She said it's like $26 per ticket. Yeah,
that's how much it is for like the Stars game. It was like $28 for like probably identical seats.
I like basketball because I played it, so I understand it. I don't have to sit there and learn a whole new sport. It's so much easier for me to understand it if I can play it.
I mean, you could play hockey.
Where the fuck can I play hockey?
I'm just saying, like hypothetically. I'm not.
Exactly. Hypothetically doesn't do it.
Whatever. Excuse me, underverb. Jesus.
We could just do rocket power style and get some rollerblades.
Yeah, we could. I mean, there's no fucking ice out here.
Rocket power didn't use ice. They used rollerblades.
That's what I was saying. We'd have to do that because there's no ice out here. Good Lord. Burp. Beer makes you burp like crazy. Anyway, yeah, like I'm excited about that. And I love hockey. God, I love hockey. It's so much fun.
He's wearing his Stars snapback right now. I
am wearing my Stars hat. Because, I mean, they won last night.
Against the New York Giants. Tapestry.
Shut up. Okay, plowing ahead here. Now, remember...
Excuse me, it's a blanket on the wall.
Now, when we were talking about Halloween, and like, like how you kind of age out of Halloween?
Huh?
You know, like how you age out of, like, going trick-or-treating and stuff? When did you age out of going to Hot Topic?
I was about to say, I didn't.
Oof.
Actually, I can't say I completely aged out. However, I was very strong the other day. I went to get some winter clothes at Plato's because that's the only place I shop now. They moved Hot Topic out to the new mall, actually. I didn't know they did. Isn't it by, like, Zoe's or something?
Yeah, because they rented a U-Haul from me.
And Hot Topic did?
Yeah, they did. They
come in with all the piercings and stuff. It's like,
she had a nose ring and I think snake bites.
Yeah,
so.
It's like
she
you
paid for like a Hot Topic card.
It's like if you have to work, if you work there, you have to have some kind of facial piercing to show that you're hardcore for it. I stopped for a minute. I'm like, oh shit, Hot Topic's here. Should I go in? I see long sleeves and it's like buy two get one free band tees, and I'm like, oh, I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. So, I withheld from going, but I kind of wish I just went in and looked around. Like, it's a lot of it's pretty cringeworthy now. Like, Hot Topic is not what it used to be.
Well, yeah, and because it used to be like super, like way more hardcore looking. It had like a lot more like the goth shit. Yeah. But I think that the whole goth scene kind of fell out of favor. Like, it's just not as big as what it was. It turned into more of like an emo scene, which now turned into more of like a punk anime scene, which is just like annoying. And the thing is, like, I don't know anybody who's like really into anime and that's that fits into these three categories. That's hygienic, not overweight, and pays all of their own bills. Like, if you're into anime, you're gonna fall into one of those three categories.
I can think of several people right now, but I won't name any names.
And they all fit into one of those or multiple. Yeah. Sometimes even all three.
Yeah.
Well, we're not going to go there. But at any rate, like, because I remember, like, when Hot Topic had, like, it looked like a cat, like, clawed the logo into the wall logo, and then now it's like a stencil logo.
Yeah.
And I remember going to it when I was, like, 9.
Yeah, 2nd grade. That was my first T-shirt. It was an Edward Scissorhands T-shirt from, not my first T-shirt, but my first T-shirt from Hot Topic. Edward Scissorhands. I wore it in 2nd grade. And I got it in, like, wintertime, and it was a short sleeve, and I insisted on wearing it, so I put a thermal long sleeve underneath.
Yeah, I did that a lot, too.
And it was just a picture of him, and it just says, incomplete and all alone. I was questionably, I'm sure to my teachers, they didn't know what to think of me, because I was just this blonde-haired, bowl bang-cut kid, you know. But I always wore black T-shirts. I mean, I was in 3rd grade rocking a Misfits T-shirt that had blood all over it.
Oh, whoa. Watch out, people. Maximum Edge.
For a 3rd grader, that's a little off. Especially, and I had, like, things that said, you know, like, zombies make better boyfriends. I was just a little over the top.
Because you're an only child.
Yeah, and my parents condoned it. They're like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Well, condoning it, I thought that they weren't. That means that they're not okay with it. If they condone something.
No, they can. If you don't condone it.
Okay, whatever. We have technology. What the fuck does condone mean? By the way, both of us are college educated, but I don't know what the fuck that means. God, we're fucking morons. DONE. To accept and allow. Well, I'm a fucking retard. Okay, that's cool.
It's a work in progress, ladies and gents.
Thanks. But, yeah, when I was in the 4th grade or so, we went to Hot Topic because they sold the Naruto headbands, like the metal
fucking
tie
weeb
around the... But hey, listen here, motherfucker. Like, I wore that shit, like, because my brother was in high school band, so we wound up going to, like, all the high school football games. And he was 3 years ahead of me. So, for, like, the 5th grade to, like, the 8th grade, I wore it all the time. In the 8th grade, I wore like around my neck like a necklace sometimes. I was hardcore about that shit, and I still own them.
They're
in my dresser. I'll bust it out. I will wear it out in public.
It's a bigger indicator that I would not have dated you in high school.
I didn't wear it in high school, just the middle school.
Yeah, but I would have remembered you as the middle school kid that wore the Naruto.
No, because in high school I was a fucking stud. Still am. Never peaked. I'm always climbing.
Rocking that comb over.
Well, no, I never had a comb over.
No, it was a comb down.
Yeah, and then I cut all my hair, and I was like, woo.
That forehead, though.
That was back then. That was a 5 head. And then I just accepted I was going to be bald when I was 19 and started shaving my head and never looked back.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, well. Shit happens. But, yeah, last time I went to Hot Topic, I'm trying to think. I remember when I went to go buy a Black Sabbath t-shirt, and you were with me. Yeah, because we were walking to the mall, and you're like, you want to go feel like we're in middle school again? And I was like, all right, why not? So we go in there, and I had a Black Sabbath t-shirt, and I bought it. And then she was like, do you have a rewards card? And I was like, I don't think.
That's not the purple one, is it?
Yeah.
Is it
one.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Shit, I thought you had that.
No.
Before.
But she was like, would you like to have rewards cards? I was like, I think I got one. Here's my email. And they're like, oh, well, it's not under that. And what's your name? I was like, here's my name. And they're like, okay, well, it's nothing under that. Can we get your phone number? I was like, can I just buy the shirt? I just want to buy the shirt. And she got all butthurt about it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I was like, okay, like, lady, I understand your manager's telling you got to upsell whatever shit, but I just want to buy the fucking shirt.
Yeah.
And I think that was the last time I went in there. That was like 2-3 years ago. But I just hadn't been back since because I remember when we were in there, it was less of like the goth shit with a lot of the band tees and stuff like that, and it was all like these like shitty punk bands.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And like I understand. To make money, you got to follow the trend with that kind of store.
Mm.
But it was like all these shitty like punk bands, and there's like a lot of like K-pop shit and like a bunch of weeb shit, and I'm like, this place used to be a lot more hardcore. Also, we were kids back then, so
we probably
our perception
thought,
was different. So
yeah.
like now we look at it like, wow, that's fucking stupid. But when I was like 14, I was like, oh shit, man, I got fucking Charman on a shirt. Let me get that shit. You know, like that's how it was back then.
Occasionally, I'm sure I could go into Hot Topic today and find at least one thing that I want. Like it'd probably be like something like a Stone shirt or maybe a Bowie shirt or something. But
I bought my Nirvana shirt and my N64 hat.
I think what makes me cringe the most is like the hoodies or the costumes or dresses that they have.
Yeah.
I remember freshman year
of high school or college?
Of high school. I went and actually bought a dress. But I never wore that dress anywhere because, one, it was bright red and it had skulls all over it. And it had like this fake latex lace down on the sleeves, on the short sleeve, and it was off the shoulder. And it was super fucking short, but I still hadn't finished growing yet. And I remember I put it on like maybe a year or two later. That shit was right up to my ass cheek.
You would still happen to have that.
No, I don't.
Damn it. Damn. Because as I've said before on this show, everybody likes the goth girl. It's true.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's so much Rule 34 Raven shit out there? Anyway, plowing ahead here. Hot Topic was cool. Not so much cool anymore. I think it's like a mix between like the store and the demographics changing, and us just getting older.
Yeah, probably majority being
like
us getting older because I'm sure like all the same shit was just.
Yeah, it was like just as bad.
Yeah.
Then as it was now, but I wasn't so much like into everything that was in that store, but I was much more into that stuff than like owning like Nikes or Adidas and like having like I had an Adidas t-shirt, but I like having like dry fit shorts and wearing those all the time. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather just have like jeans, like a band tee.
Yeah, and I was into sports.
Yeah, and I was too. But I just wasn't into like the athletic look because it's not like I don't understand why I have to dress like I'm about to go start training to run a quarter mile like every second of the day.
Now, I won't lie. When I was in high school, majority of the time I wore basketball shorts and like the Nike Elite socks with the slides. But it took me forever until I actually got the actual Nike slides, and by then I wasn't it wasn't cool anymore. I was always behind the trends with stuff because I just I didn't care, and also like I wasn't gonna pressure my parents to buy something for me to keep up with the trends. I wasn't that. There was a bunch of rich quote unquote kids in my school that you could tell like their parents were always buying them.
Oh yeah, it was the same thing in mine.
So stupid.
And we were and it's like poor ass East Texas, and then people are spending like $120 on a pair of fucking flip flops.
You know what's funny is like I always thought like some of these families, these rich families that I thought that were rich, like you really look into it and they don't really have that much money, but you see where they spend most of their money on.
It's fucking
just,
credit card debt.
Stupid.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, I just really didn't give a shit what I looked like in high school. I was just
clearly. Well, I think the funny thing about like middle school is you don't care what you look like. You just care about having an image, so like people notice you.
I feel like I cared more in middle school.
Well, I know that. Like, well, that's what I mean. Like, but like you go like way over the top with it because you have no like bearing on like what's normal yet. And then when you're in high school, you want to fit in so much more, and you're like, well, I just look like I don't care, but I actually really care. Please don't hurt my ego. It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I also think it's important. With that being said, I think it's important to, when you think about the dumb shit that you did or said or dressed like when you were, 14, you need to be kind to your past self because you don't know what you know now. And like it's not fair.
So true.
To
and
think
so
about that.
We also need to be more kind to, even though it's super fucking annoying to listen to high schoolers talk, you need to be more kind and understanding that one day they're going to feel the same way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we'll have to deal with that more than...
Whoa. It's a Whiskey Dan show.
Just cut it out.
I know, but I wanted to make a scene out of it. So it's funny.
And Dan will have to deal with that more than I ever will because he wants to be a high school teacher. And I think the life for me, elderly people is where it's at.
I don't want to clean up shit. I mean, that's really the thing. I just don't want to get like shit and pissed on.
I'm never
Nurses
shit
and
and
porn
pissed
stars
on.
get shit and pissed on and get paid a decent amount of money
I'm not
for
a fucking nurse. Second of all, like I'm doing a greater good. Like I'm helping people at their low. And if I can stomach that, which it's not hard. At first I thought it would be hard. It's not. If I can stomach that, like there's got to be somebody out there that will do it and have the kindness and decency to help keep a person's dignity during that time, because one day that's going to be you.
That's fair.
And you're going to feel like shit, literally, about it.
What if you develop like a scat fetish?
I can never have a fucking serious moment. This is my life, guys. This is my life.
Answer.
No.
Is that a no? You're not going to answer it, or no? You're not going to develop.
No,
a scat
I'm not
fetish?
going to develop one.
Are you sure? We'll check back in 25 years, folks.
C diff. One word, C diff.
Speaking of shit, okay, so remember I came over last night and I was like, man, I just feel like real fucking bloated for some reason. Probably because I've been eating, like, I had a bunch of meat over the weekend. And I took a dump at your apartment. And I took 2 more today. I feel.
At my apartment?
No, here.
Oh, okay.
But I took and it wasn't like a diarrhea, like a kind of dump. It was like a solid one. I had 3.
Let the record show that yes, I do clean up other people's shit, but I really don't like thinking about my boyfriend shitting.
I'm just saying, I took 3 solid movements.
You want
24
this to
hours.
progress later tonight, right? Like, if you want anything to happen, you should just quit talking now.
But I want to talk about it.
Oh, God.
I was impressed. I was legitimately impressed, and I feel a lot better now. Imagine, like, honestly, like, every time you're, like, kind of, like, butthurt about something, you ever think just, like, maybe I just need to go take a shit, and, like, you're like, all right, I feel a lot better now.
Yeah, I'm laughing about the last time we played Cards Against Humanity with our friends in here. And I played one of the card, and I can't remember what the first card laid down was, but my card was listening to a shitty podcast. Well, now it really is shitty, isn't it?
Thank you for all the fans I have out there. Appreciate y'all a lot.
Yeah, listening to shit talk.
Literal. That's pretty much all I had on the docket for that. But so overall, though, in terms of the hospital, would you say that, like, how would you rate the occupation or the job?
Word
Like,
that differently.
Like grade F through A, how would you rate like a hospital job? And you can't just be like right out the gate A.
Oh, are you talking about my job
Yeah.
specifically?
Yeah, like your job specifically working in the hospital.
For like just general knowledge, or is this based upon giving
Your
all
experience.
the OT settings?
Yeah, your experience in it.
Well, to be fair, I haven't had many experiences outside of the hospital because I was in it through school.
Well, but not always.
Not always, but a big majority of the time I was in school, I was at the hospital, and then I went straight back to the hospital in the same setting. I can compare what other people say.
So we're looking like a B+ here.
I'd say a B+, maybe an A-, because there's a lot of different factors in regards to. Even though I get really frustrated, like earlier, the dynamic as far as productivity is actually easier than it would be in a skilled nursing setting.
Oh, okay.
It is because
for the retards out there, tell me what skilled nursing is.
A skilled nursing facility is what people typically think of as nursing homes. Okay.
Why can't you just say nursing?
Because a skilled nursing facility is a way to explain to people that it's not a forever stay.
Oh, okay.
You have a rehab there. It just functions different than an inpatient rehabilitation hospital would.
So an occupational therapist wouldn't work in a true nursing home?
No, they would. But it's hard to explain. Nursing home is just a typical, I guess you could say, it's a normie. It's a normie way of explaining it.
Oh, okay. Or the layman's term.
Or sometimes we call them SNFs, skilled nursing facility. But you can go to the residential side and be a resident, or you can go to the rehabilitation side, or you can be participating in both, really.
What about like working like a drug rehab clinic? Could you do that with OT?
I wouldn't. I'm sure you could. Like, I don't see why not. I mean, because if you think about it, with drug abuse, a lot of it goes hand in hand with mental illness. This is an addictive personality.
That's fair.
Addiction really does become a mental health issue.
And that's why we should treat people who are drug addicts as a mental health case, not as a criminal case.
I really agree.
Whatever.
There's a place in Tyler called Centacor that they help with that. And one of the ladies came and talked to us when we were in school about it. And I went to the behavioral health center that was ETMC at the time. It's now UT Health. And I saw some adults that struggled with that. And it was interesting to see that side of it. It really was. And in fact, occupational therapy started out working with mental health patients. That's where we had our origin. However, it's not as common anymore because you now see recreational therapists and you see, psychologists that really take the role in the intervention process versus occupational therapists. There is a purpose, but a lot of it has been taken over by overlapping.
Well, that's most of the medical field.
Interdisciplines. Well, that's true. And even I won't go into that, but
now
there's some things I can't say because I'm thinking about my job, and it's like, oh,
man,
mum's the word.
Oof.
Yeah.
So, occupational therapy started in 1917, correct?
You are correct.
Now, I don't know how much of the history you know on it. I mean, I don't really know any of it other than that. But did occupational therapy, did they help a lot of war veterans?
Yeah, that's what we started. First, it started because around that area, right before 1917, in the late 1800s, you see the Quakers start to take in patients that have mental illness issues, and they realize, we can't just,
throw them to the wolves.
Throw them to the wolves. Really, we can't.
They
need help, and while they were still off in what they were thinking in regards, because mental institutions really didn't start to see a good change until after the 60s.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and we got to remember, for the longest time, hospitals, people didn't want to go to them because that's where insane people were and shit.
Exactly. And there was a really negative connotation with mentally ill, and there still is. We're still working on that.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're fucking crazy.
God, most Americans. But for all the caring, decent humans out there,
look, I do care, but you gotta I'm one of those type of people that I can only care so much.
That's fair. And to a point with my patients, I can only care so much. I have to put up a certain wall. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to do my job. I'm going to let my empathy and my emotions get in the way, and that's not healthy.
Isn't that what women always do? Yeah. Let their empathy and emotions get in the way.
But anyway, back what I was saying, they started out with the Quakers. They changed it to start thinking about, okay, hey, we really need to start caring about these individuals in the mental health area. And then it went from there, and then once the Civil War... Did you say Civil War?
No.
Or did you say...
The First World War.
First
the
World
First
War,
World War ended in November of 1918.
World War. Yeah, because they were seeing, okay, we're seeing some injuries. So they saw a lot of, post-traumatic stress.
Which they didn't actually label it that at the time.
No, they didn't.
They called it shell shock.
Yeah, but that was still something that they're like, hey, this person isn't right. Let's help out. Or especially, patients that had amputations, that had to live with that.
Or if they were blinded, gas attack or some shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that they endured in the war if they survived at that time.
Man, little quick tangent, because I love learning about the First World War. So much so that when I was 17, I was like, man, I wish I could have fought in this shit. And the older I get, the more I research about it. And I'm like, he's talking about shell shock. Some people, you would just be in an earthen dugout. You're under the ground. You're 40 feet under the ground, 30 feet under the ground, right? Mm-hmm. And you're just sitting there. And for the next 47 hours is just artillery bombardment, just a constant barrage of just artillery bombardment. You just have to sit there and wait for it to be over. And you can't do nothing. You just have to sit there and just hope that, your dugout doesn't implode over you or collapse on top of you. That is insane.
It really is. And I'm glad we're in the era that we are now where not worried so much about draft anymore.
Right. Well, because we don't have global conflicts like that anymore. And we had people live through that, and they were 18 at the time, and we got people who were, 18 to 25, that demographic, who were complaining about what bathroom to take a shit in, whether it's left or whatever side of the argument you're on. But that's what we're going to complain about when there's real-world issues that have happened that things could be a lot worse, and no one's fucking grateful for the fact that we have the internet.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little bit of a stretch what you did there.
I know.
But
no, look, I'm going in my old man get off my lawn rant about this because it bothers me so much that we have so much shit that we take for granted and then complain about it for no fucking reason because we don't understand.
I agree. I'm just saying you can't just take, this, elderly man who still has PTSD from what he endured as a kid.
Yeah.
And compare it to gender-neutral bathrooms, whatever. Which, by the way, I think is a little insane, a little over the top.
Look, I am perfectly okay with these mandatory unisex bathrooms. I think everybody's okay with it until I take my after Taco Bell 2:30 p.m. massive shit at work, and now Suzanne's got to go in there and take a shit after me. Think she's going to enjoy that? Hell no.
Here's the thing that I want to talk about two things. Can I talk about two things?
Sure, you can talk about whatever you want. You
okay.
can put your tits out if you want.
No.
I mean, there's no camera.
So two things I want to talk about right now that people are making a big deal about. One is there was this big controversy about we should label feminine products as gender neutral. And
what?
That's what I said. Because it's well, first of all,
I don't bleed out my dick, and if I do, there's a serious issue.
And here, let's lay the ground for what the issue was saying. It was saying, look, for people who are in the process of transitioning, say from a woman to a man, of course, it wouldn't be the opposite way around. They still need period products, okay, because they're still functioning as a woman, but they're still in transition. That's understandable. Use all the fucking tampons, pads, douches you want, bitch. That's fine. However, who the fuck gives a shit what the fucking wrapper looks like? typically, I'm going to tell you what a tampon or a pad wrapper looks like. It's either blue, purple, maybe pink, mine are orange. Why does it fucking matter?
It's like, I don't care if the Snickers bar is a different color. I'm still going to eat it.
I saw like a protester who sat on a bench with his or her, with their legs open, and there was a blood stain in between their crotch. It was a real blood stain.
So they're just like doing the free bleeding?
Because they were trying to make a point. And I'm like, that's
a retarded point. That's not how you do that. It's not.
I don't give a shit. Like, there is not a problem with the wrapper. You are taking something that doesn't matter and creating a bigger deal, taking away attention from something that really does matter. And here's another one. Let's just go ahead and transition into this. Like, we had a friend. It came up at my party. One of our couple friends was saying, "Hey, did you see like all the people protesting out on the corner that were wearing white and they had blood stains on their crotch?" And I was like, "No, what's it about?" And they were talking about how you shouldn't circumcise your kids. And one sign even said, "Honk if you love foreskin." And, there's this whole debate about how there's more sensation for the kid if you don't. And, well, if you can teach girls to wash their genitalia without, mutilating their genitals, why do you have to do it to boys? And if it's not a religious preference.
Yeah.
Dan and I see eye to eye on this. For me, let's just disclose this. Dan is circumcised.
I was going to say that anyway. I don't understand the argument. Like, it's more pleasurable if you're not circumcised. Like, you can't make that argument. Like, I can't just like slap on some foreskin and just like slam ham and like, okay, that's better. And then also, I get enough pleasure out of sex anyway. Like all 38 seconds of it. I don't need any more because it's going to be even shorter. So. I think it's a stupid argument, and it's like, and then I love how it's like, well, unless it's a religious thing, because you can't make fun of the Muslims, you can't make fun of the Jews.
And to me, here's the thing. I have never had a sexual encounter with an uncircumcised penis, but if I did, like, let's say the dude just dropped his pants and he was circumcised, I'd been like, hell no.
Oh, like if he was uncircumcised?
Yeah, like I couldn't deal with that because. You
don't have to like slob his knob. You can still just bone him.
No, but still, here's the thing. I don't want that in me because here's the thing.
Just dick cheese.
Yeah, I don't like. Yes, you are a grown man.
That shit look like Little Caesars.
You are a grown man, and you are capable. You are capable of cleaning yourself. However, did you? And,
I don't trust a kid to wipe their ass properly.
No, my brother is 7, will be 8 in February, and still asks us to wipe his ass because he's afraid to wipe it.
Well, and then like how people are like, well, if you can teach girls how to be clean, yeah, but it's not that hard for like a girl to keep clean. You just go from front to back, and don't shove a bunch of soap up in your cooter, and you'll be okay.
The vagina is actually pretty self-cleaning.
Yeah, it's a self-cleaning organ. The dick is not a self-cleaning organ.
No.
Like my buddy's wife's mother, his mother-in-law is what's a step below a doctor?
A PA, a physician's assistant?
No, it's a fucking...
a nurse practitioner?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, she's a nurse practitioner, and she probably sees 2 to 3 times a month some kid who's got a fucking dick rot because he didn't wash his dick properly because he's uncircumcised.
Well, there's yeast too. You can make yeast
it's just fucking nasty. And then if you make the argument like, well, I don't want to have my kids having a nasty dick. And it's like, well, it's not a sexual thing. Just teach him how to wash his pee. Okay, if I have a son and his dick looks different than mine, it's going to be a little weird.
Right. And there has been like people who have had or haven't been circumcised and wished, oh man, I really wish I had been circumcised.
Because when you get older, that shit gets like real flaccid all the time, and then now you got all this fucking dick skin. It's way harder to piss.
Yeah, and if your argument, fuck you, if your argument is, well, if they want it done later in life, then they can decide it. No, because it's so painful. And we say, well, isn't it painful for your baby? Your nerve endings haven't
They're not
finished.
it's the same reason why they can like cut a dog's tail when it's a puppy. They don't do it when the dog's 2 years old. That'll fucking hurt.
Exactly. Like, the nerve endings aren't completely developed.
Also, it doesn't bleed as much.
Yeah, and they're going to cry for a quick second, and that's done. They're not going to remember it. They're not going to have this hatred for you.
Yeah. Also,
honestly,
baby dick is, like, really fucking small. A lot easier to do. Adult dick, like, that's a lot of skin you're cutting off.
And let me just tell you another thing.
It's doable.
If your argument is that, oh, well, just teach him how to wash his dick. Let's think about these 70-year-old men who can't do that, who are stuck in the hospital. And I'm not dogging any nurses because there are some great nurses out there. But there are times where patients are not properly cleaned. And I know because I find them and I have to be the one to clean them. And you know how hard it is to pull back the foreskin on a flaccid penis? Let alone for yourself, your mentally crippled self. Like, at the age of 70 for whatever reason, like, it's just not fair to you. Most boomers are uncircumcised, and it's a pain in the dick for them. And honestly, it scared the fuck out of me the first time I saw an uncircumcised, flaccid, elderly penis. I didn't know where it went. I thought that he didn't have a dick. I thought it was a partial penectomy. I thought it was a black hole. Didn't know where that motherfucker went.
See, I never have to worry about that on my dad's side of the family because they're all Jews, so all of it definitely circumcised. And my mom's side of the family,
Hold
Catholic.
on. I don't have to worry about that on my dad's side. Why do you have to worry about it?
Well, because you were saying, like, talking about, like, boomers, you know.
But still, why do you care about their dicks?
I don't know. They didn't have trouble pissing when they were older. I mean, they're dead now, but, you know, that's what happens when you work in the New York subways and smoke 3 packs a day.
You just nip the tip.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, speaking of Jews, I like the Jews, and I think it's kind of funny how, like, in a lot of internet culture right now, it's, like, just super fucking hilarious to be anti-Semitic. And I don't like being triggered about things, and I hate using that expression. But I think it's such a fucking lazy fucking joke just to, like, fucking Jews, am I right? Like, it's lame. It's like saying, like, fucking, you know, yeah. Or it's like blaming everything on the blacks. It's lazy. Most Holocaust jokes are not funny. I've not heard a funny one in my life.
No, because it's really fucked. It's really fucked. That, like, so many people
and in the same way, it's like, yeah, like
such a horrific murderous rampage. It's just, can you imagine?
Actually, it wasn't a murderous rampage. It was more like a systemic euthanization of a.
Well, yes, but
or genocide. You could just call it genocide.
In thought, it still is. Because you're murdering people.
Yeah. Well,
you use a euphemism like euthanize or however you want to put it.
I think a good band name would be Youth in Asia. Like Youth in Asia. You know? But. Don't steal. I'm going to use that for my band. If I ever have one.
Focus. I'm just saying, like, can you imagine being rounded up like cattle? Starved to death to where you are literally bone.
Or just taken directly into a gas chamber off of a train. See, and that is why I refuse to do that 23andMe ancestry spit in our fucking tube and mail it to us. Because when they come back to round us all up on trains and shit, they already have all my information. No.
Babe, all they have to do is look at your name and they're like, yep, we got one.
Look at this goy here. He's probably hiding shekels. Speaking of hiding shekels, I started investing in silver recently, but I also have a lot of guns in my house, so don't try to steal it, assholes. But, yeah. Fuck Nazis. And I really hate how, like, in the media, if you are, like, remotely right-wing, or you say something that's like, well, you know, black people do cause a lot of violent crimes, you're a fucking Nazi. You know? No,
but I think that it's way off if they say that, because if you actually look at statistics.
I mean, black people are only 13% of the population, 50% of the crime.
Nah. If y'all ever get the chance to
read granted, there's a lot of other stuff involved with that. You know. And I know you didn't watch it, but And I think that if you did watch, you'd like one of the new Dave Chappelle stuff that's been coming out. Mm-hmm. He had this one bit, and it was fucking hilarious. And he was talking about how, back in the 80s, there was the crack epidemic. Like in the inner cities, a lot of African American, a lot of blacks were on, hooked on crack cocaine, and that's when all the DARE came out, whatever. Then the Just Say No campaign, don't do drugs, they're bad for you, all that shit. And that was pretty much it. It wasn't any help. People were still getting arrested. People were still, getting, rounded up in jail for being a victim, of crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Now granted, if you're out there selling hardcore drugs that are ruining people's lives, you're a fucking scumbag. But if you're a user of them because you have no way out, you're a victim. Yeah. And I wholeheartedly believe that. Now, when he was talking about that, and he was like, man, because he lives in Ohio. Black dude lives in Ohio. And he's like, I live amongst the whites, and I see all the white people addicted to, heroin and Oxycontin. And codeine, codeine pills, painkillers. Yeah. White people love opiates, and that's true. But he was saying, it's crazy how I see, this epidemic just rampaging through white America. And honestly, it kind of makes me feel now I'm, outside looking in on the situation, how the crack epidemic was. I can't fucking say it. How that was, and he's like, hang in there, nigga. It's fucking true, because that's what white people told black people. Just say no. Just don't do it. And that's what. Well, and nobody who's an addict wants to hear that shit.
And in my opinion, and after doing some research, there was a lot of political agenda behind the war on drugs, and
absolutely, really, it was all about keeping old white people in power.
Oh, really? And and putting African Americans into the ghettos and keeping them Clintons. There. Honestly, and it was started with Reagan.
Yeah, I know. Well, Reagan was an old white guy.
Yeah,
but Reagan did a lot of bad things, did a lot of great things.
Yeah, and I'm not discrediting his entire
right, and nobody should.
But I'm just saying there. It was actually the lowest when the war on drugs was declared. It was actually crack cocaine was at the lowest usage at the time than it had been in years. So it was a little late in the game, if you ask me. But and it was just a power play.
Yeah, well, now it's a lot of white people are on meth. A lot of white people are on painkillers.
But God forbid somebody smokes some marijuana.
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. That's as bad as heroin. If you live in the state of Texas.
It's a gateway drug. Well, first, Karen, let's talk about alcohol, okay?
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Let's talk about the 2 bottles of wine you had Friday night.
Yeah. For real. For real. That's a bunch of fucking horse shit. But also, we live in a state that still has wet and dry counties, which makes no fucking sense.
No, it doesn't, because you can just go over to the next county, get your liquor.
But why do I gotta go over there?
It's dumb. And then if you want, you can still go to a bar, or you can go to a restaurant and get the liquor. It's
I'll just get shit-faced there and then drive home.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of bullshit. A lot of it, in Smith County, a lot of that is power play through religious groups and things of that nature.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
But
keep using the term power play and then just think hockey.
Oh shit! I was gonna say something. Oh, you know what? At work, I see so many patients with COPD. It's ridiculous. And 90% of patients who have COPD, it's because they smoked. And they're a chronic chain smoker.
3 packs a day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't
very
3
rarely
packs.
Is it a...
Yeah, and it wasn't 3 packs a day Doral cigarettes or something Parliament, a upper brand. They were smoking Pall Malls or some L&M's.
Well, but even if you're smoking pot,
oh yeah, if you're smoking that much fucking weed, that's not good for your throat, lungs, and all that shit.
You should not. You should be careful, because it, as cliche as it is, your body is a temple. You're gonna have this vessel for the rest of your life. So
take care
and
of it,
it's
asshole.
going to deteriorate as you get older. So do yourself a favor and don't hasten the aging process for yourself.
Absolutely. Why the fuck would you want to do? But what gets me is with the smoking there, it's I just think it's so funny how, like, tobacco in and of itself isn't necessarily all that bad. I think, granted, it can cause cancer. It does, like, in excess use. Because, like, there are actually, like, because nicotine is kind of nice. Like, it takes away headaches, makes you more alert, makes you more focused. Like, when I'm, like, writing a paper, especially when I was in college, I'd go take a smoke break. Like, just load up a pipe, just have, like, some pipe tobacco. It's really nice. Go back to finish writing. It was great. I liked it. But I think it's when it turns into, because you can be a smoker and not abuse it. Yeah. And I think chain smoking is abuse of that. Just like alcohol. You can have a couple beers like we're having right now, perfectly fine.
Right.
But when you just, are drinking a 12-pack, 18-pack, 30-pack, like every day, every 2 days, something like that, that's not okay. That is abuse of that drug.
Yeah. Well, and not that I'm justifying smoking, but when you smoke from your pipe, you're eliminating a lot of the carcinogens that you get in cigarettes and stuff. And the carcinogens...
Because all it is just dried out tobacco.
Yeah.
There's not all the additives and anti-inflammatory shit.
Yeah, the additives, the anti-inflammatories, the carcinogens, all that stuff, that's what really fucks you over.
Also, smoke from a pipe or a cigar just looks cooler.
Yeah. I mean, but there's so many other things that are in our food, too.
Yeah. Well, like, fucking, like, those cheap-ass bar-ass hot dogs are, like, 89 cents for a pack of...
preservatives,
yeah, like, those like a class
Sodium.
1 carcinogen, Well, or, like, eating, like, a shitload... Like, frozen meals are great, Like, oh, it's super easy. Just put it in the oven for, like, 20 minutes, now you got a meal. Yeah. But if you eat those, like, all the fucking time, all that processed sodium and stuff, it's not good for you.
Yeah.
Just eat raw vegetables. Or
look
just
up
get
your superfoods, because there's superfoods. You can look up on, like, probably myplate.org or probably, the WHO, the World Health Organization.
Granted, sometimes when I cook vegetables, it's like, all right, we're going to take half a stick of butter and, like, a cup of salt.
Whatever. He's full of bullshit.
No.
He never puts that much butter in his vegetables. I know it because I add more butter, and then he looks at me as if I'm the fat ass in this relationship.
I put, like, a little over a teaspoon when I'm cooking greens. And that is a liberal amount of butter for me. Hey.
Greens probably need the most butter, let's be honest.
It's just so bitter, but so good. Now, okay.
Collard greens, man.
Pro tip. If you are cooking a steak or a pork chop or really any kind of meat in a frying pan, like not frying it, but like cooking it on like a skillet, because I use a cast iron skillet, pro tip, put like a tablespoon of butter, like a stick of butter, and just cut like a little 1/4-inch thick piece and let that sumbitch melt on the plate. It will make it cook so much better and taste so much better, especially beef. Holy shit. Not necessarily ground beef. If you're cooking like a T-bone or like chuck steak, sirloin, ribeye, whatever, you put a tablespoon of butter on that motherfucker. It's going to be so much better. You can't do that on the grill, obviously. When you cook inside, if you're cooking something like that, do that.
Yeah.
I love cooking. I fucking love cooking. I really do. Sometimes I'm like, I don't feel like it. It's work. But however, like, honestly, sometimes like, make me, like, I love cooking like meats and vegetables. But when it's like breads and shit, I'm like, all right, I'll make cornbread or like a sweet potato, and that's kind of it. I don't like making starches, but when it comes to meat, and because that's pretty much all I eat is like meat and vegetables.
Yeah.
And like oats in the morning.
Yeah.
But I like it.
I've started to get into cooking more.
You've gotten a lot better at it.
I keep saying that as if I was really bad before. I could cook. It just took effort, like you said, and I just wasn't into it before. And then, it also, a lot of cooking, like if I don't go and grab like Hamburger Helper or something easy, it takes a lot of time to process. Okay, and also like more planning when you go to the grocery store. Like
you have to like plan out meals.
And then it becomes a little more expensive depending on what you make, because
not necessarily, because you can get like a big ass pack of pork chops, like a couple boxes of cornbread, some eggs, some milk, and then like some frozen vegetables, and you just change out the vegetable.
Exactly, but I'm talking about like an actual like meal besides like
pork chops.
You're not getting what I'm saying.
This bitch ain't no pork chops.
I'm not a big fan of pork chops. I think you make probably the best pork chops.
That's right.
My mom makes some good pork chops too when she decides that she wants to make her pork chops and noodles. But other than that, like pork chops are always like tough. and they don't have a lot of flavor, and it's just a waste of my time, in my opinion. But
I love pork chops.
I'm talking about getting away from
Recently.
just a protein and vegetables and some cornbread. I'm talking about, like, last few days, like, I made chicken and dumplings with the crock pot. I just made, like, a Chipotle chicken taco soup.
Both of which are really good.
Stir fry. Like, just changing it up. Because is notorious for making... Dan is notorious for making fucking
ground
meat,
beef.
Beans,
you get a can of beans,
rice.
you get a pound of ground beef, you get a cup of rice. You put all that together. You throw in a can of Rotel, maybe chop up some green onions. You sprinkle them on the top.
He finally added the Rotel and green onions.
It is so
Took him a hot minute.
It is so fucking good.
Bland.
Good.
Bland is
Pack
a
that shit up. No.
Nah. Like, I can't. It's just too much. And there's so much seasoning in the
I am
thing.
so upset and attacked right now.
I'm not going to get any tonight, y'all.
Here we go. She says that.
Okay, ladies. I don't know if y'all have this trouble. Dan and I have been dating for 3 years, okay?
Here we go.
And, like, I told him, he knew from the beginning. Like, I have a really high sex drive. Like, a really high sex drive. Really high sex drive.
Okay.
And, no.
Okay.
And here lately, I feel like I'm begging for it. And Dan is like, nah, bitch, when I'm under the covers, it's night time. But then he's like, so I expressed to him, I'm like, babe, I just feel like, we're not, in the groove anymore. And he's like, well, all you have to do is come suck my dick when I'm watching sports. And I'm like, that's a fucking lie if there ever was one. He would push me off and say, nah, bitch, the Giants are on.
No, the Giants always play at noon because they fucking suck. But if you start, slobbing my knob right when halftime starts, I can miss a little bit of the third quarter. Second of all, she's leaving out the parts where she doesn't want to get it on until it's like 11:45 p.m.
Okay, well, to be fair, like, is playing Outer Worlds. Sorry, Dan is playing Outer Worlds, and or he's watching a game because Dallas Stars are on almost every fucking night, and if it's not the Stars, it's the Giants.
Or just football in general.
Or sometimes it's the Rangers, if depending on the season.
Or Mets.
Or the Mets.
Or the Red Wings.
My point is, Jake's like, I want to do stuff. I just got off work. I want to decompress. That's fine, because when I get off of work, I want to decompress. I want to take a shower. I want to eat.
You get off work before I do.
An hour.
You are decompressed by the time I get home.
Not necessarily in an hour. It depends on what I have to do. If I have to run errands first or what have you, I need to take a time to where I'm not up and moving, whether I'm cleaning or cooking, to just do something for myself. I like to paint. I like to crochet. I have hobbies, but my main hobby is doing you. And if you don't let me do you, I get very cranky. So I'm wondering, is there anybody else in a 3-year relationship going on 4 that's having any trouble? Or is it just me? Am I just weird because, like...
No, I don't think that's, like, a weird thing necessarily. It's just, like, I am most willing to bone between the hours of 6:30 p.m. to 9:30. You don't want to start boning until, like, 9:30 p.m., which is too late for me. Like, that's the tail end.
Okay, but that's the problem is, like, either you're caught up or I'm caught up. I feel like we're having, like, a couple session right now. But either you're caught up or I'm caught up. And so by the time that we see each other, it's like 10:30. Like, either you're coming over or I'm coming over at 10:30, sometimes 11. And, like, that's the first time I'm seeing you. Like, I'm in the mood. I'm like, hey, before you get into bed and get tired, let's get it on. You're like, no, all you want me is for my penis. I can't even get through the door without you grabbing my dick.
But in the morning, she's like, I want to sleep.
Okay, please tell me who wakes up at 6:30 in the morning really, really invested in getting some dick. Because...
Me.
You're invested in getting some dick?
Okay, I mean, if I was in a homosexual relationship, I would suppose so.
I'm just trying to crawl out of bed enough to put some makeup on my face, make coffee, breakfast, and get out the door before the rush hour hits. Like, that is my priority. And every time we've had sex in the morning, I'm late to work.
I mean, that's a good excuse to be late, though.
Sometimes.
Oh. Well, with that being said, we'll end that on my shame there. If you want to help Ashley and I fix our relationship, please write into the Whiskey Dan Radio Show
I really love them.
at whiskeydanradio@gmail.com. Well, she says it now.
We're going to bone right after this.
Maybe. I'm pretty tired. I'm kidding. But if you would, write into the Whiskey Dan Radio Show, whiskeydanradio@gmail.com. If you want to suggest any beers or spirits for us to drink, or if you want to have any have us talk about some topics on future shows, we would be happy to do that. I'm glad to be back. Hopefully more episodes will follow. Just depends if I can get a guest in, a different one. I am perfectly fine with having repeating guests. I just don't want to have them back-to-back just because it brings in a different dynamic. I'll have to make a couple phone calls. We'll get somebody else in. Do you have anything else left to say? You didn't even finish your first beer.
Chug-a-lug.
It was actually really good. Once again, it is Hitching Post from the ETX Brewing Co. in downtown Tyler, Texas.
It's not good warm.
Most beer isn't, unless you're some kind of European. It's 5.8 alcohol, which is quite a bit for such a beer. But other than that, do you have anything else left to say?
Nah. You ready to get on?
It's one of those kind of episodes. All right, well, y'all take it easy, and this is Whiskey Dan Radio Show signing off. Oh, my back. My neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack.
Ew.